Namaskar. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I've been requested by Shri Krishna Sampa Gonkar of Shanti Kuteer and our good friend Anand of Dharwad to give a small talk on 3 questions. And this is on the occasion of the 111th birth anniversary of Shri S.S. Ganpatrao Maharaj, who was initiated by Shri Siddharameshwar Maharaj and who originally built Shanti Kuteer and taught the Advaita philosophy of what they call the Ichchegeri Sampradaya, which is a lineage coming from the Natha Sampradaya. I'm very happy to do that because my parampara is also the Nath parampara. So, with all due respects to Shri Ganpatrao Maharaj, we will have a satsang on these questions. One is, why does happiness evade us always? 2, how to always maintain peace of mind? Difficult. 3, what is the goal of life? I'm going to start with the 3rd question so that it covers the 2nd and the 1st. So I'm going to start with the 3rd question. What is the goal of life? Now, it's a simple question. What is the goal of life? What is everybody's goal of life? What do you want in life? When I am a young boy, what do I want to be? A grown-up. When I am a grown-up, what do I want to do? Be fruitful and multiply. Then after that, what am I to do? I must make sure it doesn't end there, it continues. So what are we seeking actually? I have a small car. I want a big car. I'm single. I want to become double because I think I can be happy. Happiness is all mixed up with this goal of life. Why? Think about it carefully. I'm single. I want to be double because I want to have a friend, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, get married or not get married. So, what is the goal? So, what are we looking for in all these things? What is our goal? I want to become a philosopher. What is my goal? Why? I want to become a politician. I want to become prime minister, president. Why? What for? What is the reason? It's not the question of what is the goal of life, but why are these goals there? This is the primary question. Why is there a goal towards which we move? There is also the goal that I don't want to die. I want to live forever. That's also a goal. Every human being, you talk to somebody and say, oh, that fellow, he died. This fellow, he died. What about you? It will take a long time to say even me. Because I think I'm going to live forever. And I carry on with my daily life as if I'm going to live forever. Then there is this thing about, apparently long ago, many people don't know that Maharshi Mahesh Yogi started the TM, first lessons in Madanapalli. He came here and lived here as an attendant to somebody, his name was Mr. Satsang, I don't know the first name. He came and lived here with a friend of his, wealthy friend of his, who was admitted to the Arogyavaram TB sanatorium because that time there was no cure for TB. People used to come to sanatoriums. Here there is one. It's about 10, 11 kilometers from Madanapalli. It's called Arogyavaram. Started by the Christian missionaries 125 years ago. He came there as a caretaker for a friend of his, wealthy man, and he stayed there. So then he started. He found nobody was interested in TM here. Anyway, then he went abroad and all that TM. So here the people were not interested. Most of the wealthy people he met, they were interested in where the meat is coming from, where the liquor is coming from. So he got fed up. He said, okay. But then apparently he drew a line on the floor, on the ground, and said, all married people stand on this side and all unmarried people stand on the other side. And then he said, when I blow a whistle, those who are unhappy with their state of life can cross the line. So you blew the whistle, everybody crossed. The unmarried guys crossed this side and the married guys crossed that side. So you see how it is? Married, unmarried, alone, single, with car, without car, big car, small house, big house, no house. Everybody is aiming to get something. And it doesn't stop, it keeps on loading up. One is there, then the standard has to improve. I'm not saying there is anything against it or we shouldn't be doing that. All I'm saying is reflect when this happens. What is it that one is searching for? If one is happy already, then one wouldn't be wanting any improvements on that. Because one simply means that one is not happy. Happiness that we seek evades us all the time. We think this will give us happiness, but no, it doesn't for some time. Then you move. You think that may give me happiness. It is the same with the people who are so dissatisfied with life and they give up all the worldly life and go away, take sannyas, go away to the hills, live in the caves or hermitages. Now there are no caves out there. You can't go to the caves and be happy. There are no such caves around. There may be, but then you can't survive there. It's not possible. In fact, I must tell you this. There was when I was in Rishikesh as a young man, there was a young guy who was looking for a place to meditate. So after about 1 week, he got very fed up with Rishikesh. He said, what is this place? I thought there will be rishis and caves, all ashrams, people are making noise, this, that, tourism. I said, so what do you... He said, I heard in Lakshman Jhula there is a cave. So I'm going there to sit and meditate. Okay. He disappeared. Just about 4 days, you see him back there on the banks of the Ganga, sitting there. We used to have the ghats where everybody used to sit and chat and all. So there he is. I said, hey, what happened? He said, no way out. What happened? I went and stayed in the cave in Lakshman Jhula. One day it was nice. Mosquitoes were biting me, of course. And then the second day it went off. Then I was hungry and getting little restless. Where to get food? I said, you didn't think about that when you went to the cave? No, actually I was full of enthusiasm. Okay. And then I meditated. I said, no, I'm going to meditate. Then I opened my eyes and I thought, now I have found what I'm looking for. There was a guy standing in front of me. I knew he has come from some other planet, extraterrestrial. So he had a helmet and some pipe was coming out. So I said, Namo Narayana. And he said, get out. I said, what? I said, who are you? He said, I've come to spray for mosquitoes. I'm from the municipality. Get out. There is no place on earth now where you can go and sit down. They spray mosquitoes, this, that. So what I'm trying to say is that happiness cannot be found by changing your circumstance. You should, like, if there is too much rush, once in a while you should go and stay in a place where there is solitude. Agreed. But you can't stay there forever. By changing your external circumstance, except that you need a place to stay and you need food to eat. And if you're accustomed to it, you need chilies to put into the food and so on. I can understand that. But beyond that, you can't find happiness in a place. Because happiness is not location related. Happiness is not circumstance related. Happiness is not in what you have or what you don't have. Happiness is a state of mind. If the mind is happy, you are happy everywhere. Of course, you will adjust. If I don't have this, I need, fine. But you will not be too troubled about it. It's minor, it's not a major affair. So, first thing to understand, in all these questions together, what is the goal of life, how to maintain, what does happen? Remember that happiness is an internal affair. It's not an external affair. It has nothing to do with what you have or what you're trying to get. It's an inner state. Why? Now we go to Vedanta, practical Vedanta. In the rishis, when they wrote about the search for happiness of man, they said the ultimate essence, the goal of Vedantic understanding, the ultimate core of being, which is our consciousness, can be defined as Satchitananda. Now, what is Sat? Sat meaning that which is, and not what we think is, which actually is, which means which is neither created nor destroyed. Anything that is created in the world is surely going to be destroyed. There is no question, including COVID. Whether it came by itself or the Chinese created it, whoever it is created, it will have to go in the same way. Time limits are different, of course. Time spans are different. So the Rishi said, out of their own experience, that there is something which is Sat, which is not Asat. Asato ma sadgamaya. Take me from the unreal to the real. So anything that is measured and experienced by the senses cannot be Sat, cannot be the truth. It has to, because that goes. Everything goes, everybody goes, impermanent. Anything that is permanently there, which ravages of time cannot take it off from you, that should be Sat, the essence of all being, which is the essence of one's own consciousness. The good news is that it is not anywhere else, it is in us. You don't have to look for it anywhere outside, it is right inside us, Sat. And that reality is of the nature of Chit, Sat Chit, consciousness. It's of the nature of consciousness. And how is it known, or what is it, how is it when it is experienced or felt or found? It is Ananda. Not the little bits of joy that come and go when we eat an ice cream and so on, or when you see a loved one. Yeah, there is joy, but the joy is an indication of the storehouse of joy which is within. It's simply that the joy is not coming from there, but it's coming from inside, while the object that you come into contact with kind of triggers it off. But it's actually inside. I eat an apple, I enjoy an apple. Suppose I like apple. I enjoy an apple. The happiness is not, the apple is not enjoying. I am enjoying. My tongue is enjoying. Inside me there is an enjoyment of the apple. Where is it? Inside me or in the apple? It could be grape or banana depending on me. Enjoyment is in me. That particular thing, because of a long process of association, triggers it off. And therefore the sense organs, having been accustomed to exposure to these things, they also trigger it off. But the happiness is enjoyed not by the senses but by me. I am the one who is enjoying it. So it looks like the source of all enjoyment is inside me. Now this is not a self-centered thought, it's a reality. It's inside me. And therefore, the goal of life, if you ask anybody, what do you want? They'll say happiness. Now I'm saying that goal is inside and not outside. In Vedanta they call it, there is the Pravritti Marga and there is the Nivritti Marga. Pravritti Marga is to work and do your things. Now I'm recording, this is Pravritti, it's not Nivritti. But Nivritti is when I turn inward and look and say, where is this source of happiness coming from? When something triggers it off, where does it come? What is the fountainhead from which it bubbles out? Where is this happiness? Where is the source? Where is the core of my consciousness? Where is the center of my being from which is called Satchidananda? Where is it? It is inside. And once that is touched, so therefore the journey has to begin inward journey. You don't have to run away anywhere. Stay where you are. Spend some time contemplating on this fact that what I'm looking for is actually in me. So, if that happens, can you function in the world? Well, we'll come to that later. So, this turning inward is the journey. The finding of true permanent happiness, which is always there, is the goal. And it is because we look for it outside that this true happiness evades us. We think it can be attained from there. Now, is there a way to touch that happiness? Various methods have been described by various teachers, but one thing is certain. It has to be internal. Once you find it, no one can steal it from you. You don't have to be jealous or worried about it and insecure that somebody will take it away from you. How can you take yourself from you? I mean, you are yourself, your inner self. Nobody can take it away. It's there. And it's not as if there are no other philosophers and spiritual teachers who haven't mentioned it. Jesus said in the Bible, lay treasures in your heart where thieves do not break in and steal. In the heart. Heart doesn't mean the physical heart which pumps blood. It means the core of your being. That's what, like you say in English expression, heart of the matter. The heart of the matter. That's what it means. Not heart. Heart of the matter. The core of your being. And therefore to turn down. Now, the second question, how to always maintain peace. You cannot always maintain peace of mind because it's natural that the mind goes up and down. When you're happy, then you're up. And when you're not happy, you're down. That is normal. One can't do anything about it. However, it is possible to create or to go into a state of mind which remains tranquil in the midst of all circumstances. Now, this is called a sthita prajna. One whose mind, you can't avoid the circumstances. Nobody on earth is ever totally secure. First, you have to accept total insecurity. That total insecurity is the truth. You have to accept it. As long as you're dependent on the outside world and outside circumstances, for your security is impossible. What is truly secure? The inner joy from the core of your being, yourself, which nobody can take away from you. They can take away your chair, they can take you, they can't take away you from you. And this is not possible. And in true essence, when the mind is absolutely quiet, this is why Patanjali calls it chitta vritti nirodha. When all the vrittis, meaning all the distractions and conflicts and all these are removed. Don't look for how to remove it, what is the reason. Just know that when they are removed, and they can be removed and stilled, then the mind becomes quiet. Now this quietness and tranquility is the tarmac from which you can take off to the inner being. It's essential. Now, if you say, now how do I know this? Let's look at this carefully. Suppose I desire some object or some status with all my heart, and I'm working towards it for maybe several years. Then one day I find it. And then what happens when I find it? I'm looking for, let's say, so many crores in my bank account. Every time I put in, it goes off. Capital gains, income tax, this, that, but I see. Then one day I come to a position, I work very hard, where, now this will remain. No one can take it away from me, in spite of all this. Then what happens? I'm happy, supremely happy. Because the bank balance that I desired with all my mind has come to a fruition, and it is actually there before me, so I'm very happy. Not for long. Something else will creep in which will dilute this happiness. Either I become ill or suddenly I look in the mirror and say I'm getting old. or I see that somebody, the children want to have the money or something like that. Or suddenly the income tax discovers that this is not my true bank balance. Anything can happen. Or the bank closes down. That can also happen. There is nothing secure. But when I attained that, I was happy. Now the yogis say, when you attain that, you are happy not because you attain that thing, but because your mind has ceased craving for a period of time. It could be a short interval of time. Since I have found it, the mind is no more craving for it. There is no more longing for it. It has come to a standstill. All the vrittis are for the time being suspended. When that happens, I feel happy. So, the yogis ask this question to themselves, is it possible, instead of wasting time chasing a chimera, is it possible that I can in some way make the mind quiet and not crave for something and begin to enjoy that non-craving situation, non-craving state in my mind, in my being, in the core of my consciousness? Can I do it? And they found that it is possible. If you understand this truth, that when the mind is quiet and is not craving, it's at peace. First it will be for a short while, then it will increase as you look at it. And then you begin to tap the source of happiness inside you. In the beginning it may be a small stream flowing. By and by it becomes an ocean. And when it has become an ocean, then you're free. Then your goal of life has been attained, which is Anantam Anandam Brahma, as the Upanishads declare, which means Anantam, unending, Anandam, happiness, is the supreme reality. I'll also add that that supreme being is none other than the core of your own being. He's not sitting somewhere in a high up heaven with a whip in his hand punishing us and things like that. It's the core of our own being. So actually, isn't it quite simple? Why do people complicate it? It's actually so simple. But we have been taught from childhood it cannot be that simple. We have to work. Yes, okay, you work. But somewhere along the line, you realize that the only way to find true happiness, which is evading us, and also to maintain peace of mind, because the world is a tumultuous place, which is also the goal of one's life. And what is that goal? True happiness, and that need not be searched for anywhere except in your own inner being. And this is understood. The goal of life is achieved. And it's interesting that wherever you go, whether you take sannyas or whether you have a family, unless this realization strikes one is still tottering in the dark, trying to look for happiness. You cannot get true happiness in the inner core of your being simply because you know all the Vedas. That's why in the Mundaka Upanishad, the student asks the Rishi this question of what is knowledge? And the Rishi says, well, there are generally two kinds of knowledge. He says, what are the two kinds? One is the Paravidya, the higher knowledge, and the other Aparavidya, lower knowledge. So he says, so I want to know the Paravidya, but tell me the list of the Aparavidya, the lower kind of knowledge. It's very interesting to note that the list starts with Rigveda. Says the Rishi, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvanaveda, all the Vedangas, starting with Jyotisha, and so on and so forth. So the student is stunned. If all this is lower knowledge, what is higher knowledge? He says, higher knowledge is that by which you attain the truth, which is your inner being, which is Satchidananda. So he says, just a minute. So the student is wondering, so if I read all this for no use, the fact is, if you have not read the Upanishad, how would you know this? What the idea that is being put to us here is that even if you know all the Vedas and the Upanishads and everything, if your mind is not searching for the ultimate truth which is inside, it's still aparavidya. It becomes paravidya only when you are starting to look for the essence of being. Then it becomes paravidya. If the Vedas are not helping you to touch it, they still remain in the realm of aparavidya. It's not to say that you are not to read or understand or study the Vedas. It means if you properly study the Vedas, then you realize that the most important thing is to look for the truth, and that truth is not anywhere outside. You don't have to search far and wide. It's not there in the Kaaba or in Kashi or any of these places. That truth is within us. And there is nothing better than Kabir Das's example of the Kasturi Mriga. The Musk Deer, which dwells in the Himalayan regions, from where Kasturi is manufactured, Musk Deer. In a certain season, there's a little pouch under its belly where musk is produced, Kasturi is produced. And when this happens, it's a wonderful fragrance wafting in the air. You know the Kasturi musk, somebody must be having musk in their perfumes, I don't know. So, the poor deer, DEAR, trying to find the source of this beautiful fragrance, goes around looking for it everywhere, pushing its snout into thorny bushes and bleeding, still not realizing that the fragrance is coming from under its belly. Kabir said, this is the state of the human being, who is looking for happiness, who is setting up goals, who is trying to find peace of mind, and it keeps evading because you think the fragrance is outside, when the fragrance is actually inside. It's actually very, very simple. The fragrance that you seek is within you. If you turn around and look, you have found the truth. And when you understand that that is the only way out, then you begin to spend more time and more energy trying to find that. And I actually believe that anyone who has understood this little fact can find it at some point. As I said in the beginning, it may be a trickle, maybe a little stream, but by and by, as if you persist and not get distracted from it, then you will find the ocean. And when you find the ocean, let me know. We will enjoy together. We'll sit near the side and watch the waves, and perhaps dip our feet into the waters of the waves that come up. Let me know when you touch the ocean. But even if you touch a trickle or a little stream of that happiness at some quiet time when you're sitting down, closed eyes, open eyes, and everything is settled, I would be happy to know this is happening, even in a small way. If it happens, then believe me, one day you'll touch the ocean. That's all I have to say. I have all the three questions put together because then it's difficult to understand. I don't think we need to talk too much on this. I think it's short and sweet and finished is the best thing to do. So, thank you. Reflect on the things that I said today. It's very simple. There's nothing complicated. Just turn within and look. First, figure out theoretically that what you seek is in you. Turn around and look. And you'll then realize that even when you enjoy outside, it is actually coming from inside. The fountainhead is in you, in the core of your being. Just keep this in mind and carry on with life. You cannot change your circumstances, but you can change your state of mind. Remember that. And changing of the state of mind is the most important thing. I want to say, so people say, when this happens, when you have touched the core, and what happens? Do you become inactive? Ask me. I am not inactive. I'm very active. I keep working. Activity is a nature of the human mind. It will keep acting, but it will act without getting agitated. So there is another question, how to maintain peace of mind always. Unless you touch this core, you cannot maintain peace of mind. It will keep changing. So once you do that, you can actually work in this world. Of course, you won't do wrong work because there's no point in that. Good work, right work in the right direction, rooted and centered in your being. You'll do all the work in this world and perhaps with more perfection than you would have done it otherwise, because here the mind is expanded. Expanded minds had better inputs and better outputs. So you have gone from a limited individual to an unlimited being. And therefore, whatever work you do, it will be reflected in that work. In fact, this is the theory of Karma Yoga, perfect action, which Krishna has described in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, saying, act. Stopping of action is not freedom. Being free while acting is true freedom. And this is the essence of the Gita. So, if you want further material on this, there is the Wisdom of the Rishis, which is a discussions on the Upanishads. Or go to YouTube and check. Or if you get a simple copy of the Bhagavad Gita, read the chapter from 1 till the last 18th chapter. And then you'll have an idea. Meanwhile, reserve at least 15 minutes a day to sit down quietly and reflect on what we have discussed just now. Swadhyaya. Try to understand yourself. Swadhyaya. And that's it. So that is my message today. Thank you very much. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste.